For more on this, we are now being joined by Colonel David Beiderosh. He is professor at Near East South Asia Center for Strategic Studies, National Defense University, and former Deputy Director for Peacekeeping in the Office of the Secretary of Defense. Sir, thank you so much for joining us on World DNA. Always a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
So there are two things here. More bodies have been found. It's yet to be confirmed how many of those bodies are those of hostages. That has led to more anger and outrage in Israel. On the other hand, Israel remains insistent on keeping its troops in the Philadelphia corridor. How do you assess this? Many say that Netanyahu government is risking the lives of the hostages just to maintain presence in the Philadelphia corridor. Is it that straightforward, though?
I don't think it is. I think the bigger issue is the generally widely shared goal in Israel of destroying the military capability of Hamas. And it's clear that Hamas is using the hostages as a way of restraining Israeli action against Hamas's military infrastructure. So I think that the Philadelphia corridor is one step towards isolating the military structure of Hamas. But at the end of the day, the ultimate chip that Hamas has to protect itself is, well, there's two chips. One is the hostage and the second is dispersal among the civilian population of Gaza. And I don't think they'll give up either one of those easily.
Right, sir. But that being said, we've heard Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that they will not withdraw unless they have completely annihilated Hamas. We've seen discord among Israelis as well. Many say that that is not a realistic goal. How do you assess that at this point in this war? It's been over 10 months. Do you think that's still a realistic goal for Netanyahu to pursue, or hostage release should really be the priority at this point?
Well, I think that the rhetoric about completely destroying Hamas, I think that that's kind of overblown. And I think that the military objectives are ensuring that Hamas lacks the ability to strike into Israel and is unable to reconstitute to where it can strike into Israel. So I think that, politicians somewhat inflame their speech out there. In terms of the hostages, it's really, really difficult. Some countries, Algeria, for example, has a national policy where if a person's taken hostage, they just consider them as dead because otherwise their attitude is that will incentivize further hostage taking. I think that at some point, in the absence of very, very definitive intelligence on the location and the dispositions of hostages, you kind of have to pursue your national security goals, and the hostages move to a secondary role. The challenge with that, of course, is that the hostages are very emotive. And when you take hostages, you create a constituency in your opponent's population that advocates for negotiations. Israel's very, very aware of this, and they have a long history of difficult negotiations with hostage takers. So it's a real problem. But looking at it from the outside, it appears to me as though the military objectives of destroying Hamas's offensive capability have taken priority over the release of hostages in Israeli policy.
Right, so now just to expand on that, just for better understanding here, do you think peace can be secured anytime soon? Right now, we know that there are 8-hour pauses that will kick in for the polio vaccination drive. But do you think we can see any such truce deal or pauses in the fighting going forward?
I hope so, but so far we've seen two rather unsettling patterns. The first is that Hamas does not hesitate to attach itself to, humanitarian aid or to civilian populations or to aid centers to disperse this. And the second is that the Israeli forces will go after Hamas wherever they find them. So one hopes, polio is a really nasty disease. It spreads very quickly. It tends to strike the young, and it tends to destroy their entire life. I hope that we can have something like this, and if it does work, it would be a building block for some sort of negotiation. But I haven't seen anything in the conduct of the war on either side so far that would let me to put my own money on the table saying this is going to expand into peace.
All right. Well, Colonel Beiderosh, thank you so much for joining us on World DNA with your insights on this.
Thank you.
For latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.